How's it going, Laser Bruises? I'm Bobby Sixkilla. Welcome back to Route Double. We're heading over to LABO right now because we just escaped from being tied up by the terrorists because they know that we know that they know that we know about the terrorist plot. And they don't want us to be, interfering and shit. Not that any of the authorities take us seriously anyway because we're children or something. Although we are children that can read minds, so you think that would lead a little bit of credence to our claims, but kids will be kids, I guess. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? I think we're, probably within this episode we're going to get the overlap where his past memories that he keeps jumping back to are going to overlap with present time. So that should be interesting. And then all hell will break loose, I suppose. They dashed out of the ruined factory and ran onto the main road. Eventually they saw in the inspection gate that led to LABO. Just as they had suspected, there was a traffic inspector there. They could see a different man at the inspection gate than the inspector they saw last night. That's right, of course it'd be guarded, even through the night and at dawn. Should we talk to him? It'd probably end up a repeat of last night. So let's break through. Break through? I'll provide a diversion. You two take the opportunity to slip through. Once you get through the inspection gate, run for a while, then wait for me. I promise I'll catch up. Alright. After receiving confirmation from Natsuhiko, Sally headed straight for the front of the inspection gate. Okay, let's go, Mashido. Yeah. Natsuhiko and Mashido hid beside the inspection gate for now. Eventually, they heard the traffic inspector call for Sally to stop. Hey, hold it right there. Huh? Where do you think you're going so early in the morning? When the traffic inspector began his interrogation, Sally answered in a feeble voice. Daddy got drunk and went on a rampage at home, so I had to run away. What? What? The traffic inspector was caught off guard, but Natsuhiko was completely shocked. Apparently Sally was doing improv to distract the traffic inspector. The traffic inspector completely fell for it as he listened intently to her story. You poor thing. I'm a stepchild, so Mummy won't help me either. Mashido whispered in disbelief as to what she was hearing. I didn't know Sally could pull that off. Yeah, that story's so cliched it hurts, but it looks like it's working, huh? As they peeked at him from undercover, they could tell the traffic inspector was completely focused on Sally. He didn't seem to be aware of their presence at all. Now's our chance, let's go, Natsuhiko. Yeah. Natsuhiko and Mashido took the chance to jump out of cover. They slid into the traffic inspector's blind spot and through the gate. Once they were through, they ran for it. They could hear Sally's conversation from behind, but their voices faded into the distance before long. Will Sally be okay? Mashido stopped and whispered after they'd run for a while. I think so. Anyway, let's wait for now. Natsuhiko stopped and pondered. She told us to wait, but how exactly does Sally plan to catch up with us? After they waited and pondered that question for a while, suddenly Sally popped up from underneath the overpass. Sorry for the wait. Sally? Huh? How did you catch up? After a simple back and forth with the traffic inspector, I went down to the lower road and climbed the pillar underneath the overpass. Mashido and Natsuhiko timidly responded to Sally's matter-of-fact explanation. Sally, are you a ninja? I trained in ninjutsu for about 3 years, but I'm still inexperienced. But I can at least use the ninja fire breath jutsu. You can? I cannot, that was a joke. Oh. Mashido's shoulders plopped down. Why do you know the name of a ninjutsu skill? It was in a sci-fi novel I read. The novel itself was boring though. Ever since I met you guys, I've been trying to find my own ways to fit in with other people. That joke and the acting back there were some of those ways. How were they? The joke was a little, should I say, highbrow? Really? I liked it. But the acting was top notch. Even we were amazed. I see. Sully smiled at their answer. Natsuhiko and Mashido returned the smile, and they went back to running. To the other end of the overpass, to LABO. That was a path that only people authorized by LABO could traverse. A direct 10-kilometer path without any forks or exits. Their footsteps echoed through the overwhelming silence. Eventually Sally looked to the side of the street and whispered, Natsuhiko, another camera. On the other side of her gaze was a surveillance camera. Okay then, Sally, if you will. Understood. Wait just a bit. Sally softly stepped towards the surveillance camera post and connected Alice. They'd already neutralized 7 cameras like this. They've already been walking for about an hour, huh? We're still about halfway, huh? Think we should hurry it up a bit? No, let's slow down the pace. We'll get even later if we use up our stamina. Sally returned as Natsuhiko finished speaking. Natsuhiko, Mashido, I'm done. Good, Sally, let's walk from here on. That would be wise, judging by the state of the inspection gate was in, I don't believe the terrorists have started heading to LABO yet. The kids walked off into silence once more. A sense of loneliness overcame them, as they had walked into a world all on their own. Hey, Natsuhiko? What? You said we were going directly to LABO to tell them about the existence of a sleeper agent, but who exactly do you intend to tell? The security guards could secretly be criminals too, like what happened with the PRC, right? That indeed was a possibility. The sleeper agent might not be Ukita. There might also be more than one. Guess we got no choice but to use empathy and look for someone we can trust. Once Natsuhiko said that, Sally quietly spoke up. No, I think we should see Dr. Tenkawa. Why, Mum? She didn't listen to us yesterday, remember? There's a high possibility that she won't take us seriously again. I know. She's selfish. She doesn't listen to me. She never has. So why, Mum? I can't rely on her for it. You should still believe in her, Natsuhiko. Sully interrupted. She spoke in a tone that wouldn't take no for an answer. Huh? The professor does worry about you, Natsuhiko. You just don't realize how much she does. Have you forgotten? The reason I was given my duty to protect you was because of the professor's orders to begin with. Now that she mentioned it, that was true. He should have known that for days, ever since Sally would come to the house, and yet, judging by that point alone, the professor must deeply worry about your safety. Am I wrong? But why would Mum do something like that? I haven't heard the detailed circumstances myself, but this is what the professor told me right before I arrived at the Tenkawa residence. Not even the strongest fortification can guarantee perfect safety. This town has several holes. As a rank S aptitude communicator, Natsuhiko is at high risk of danger, a higher risk of danger than other communicators, but it cannot stay with them at all times, or almost any of the time. So I want you to protect Natsuhiko for me, Yui. Mum said that? It was hard to believe at first, but part of it sounded familiar. Then you mean, that's what that voice meant? The mental voice he had heard from his mother yesterday. I knew it, he hates me, but until that work is complete, it'd be best if I avoided him. Natsuhiko was rendered speechless as Sully continued. The professor said this too. Both Natsuhiko's mind and yours are lacking in some areas, but that's exactly why you can complete each other. I have high hopes for you, Yui. Hopes that you can give Natsuhiko what I cannot. Hopes that Natsuhiko can give you what I cannot. I didn't quite understand what she meant when she said that, but now I feel like I understand. Ever since I met you and became friends with Mashido, I've gained so many things. The professor did not lie, so I believe in her. Natsuhiko gazed at Sally. Her firm expression somewhat resembled his mother's. Mashido quietly spoke up as well. Natsuhiko, what Sally is saying is true. Huh? You see, the professor's always thinking about you. Besides, it was the professor who asked me to come by and make food for you, remember? Yeah, right, she was. The professor thought you needed a family to be with you in that empty house in her stead. Because if you and Yuri were left alone amongst yourselves, your emotional scars would only deepen. I'm sure that was her intention behind arranging for Sally to live in the Tenkawa residence as well. Natsuhiko was taken aback. He realized that the three residents in the Tenkawa household, Natsuhiko, Yuri, and finally Sally, all had one thing in common. And that was the lack of deep familial bonds. They knew not the warmth of a family. Was that what she meant by us completing each other? The moment he came to that realization, all doubts in his mind melted away. Why his mother had taken custody of Yuri? Why she brought Sally to their home? Why she'd ordered Sally to protect him? It all tied back to that single intention his mother had. Why, Mum? Why haven't you ever said a word about this? As that question came to mind, Natsuhiko took a look at the watch wrapped around his wrist. It was a Salvia branded watch. It was a gift his mother had given him in the distant past. The memory of when he'd received that watch rose up in Natsuhiko's heart. How many years ago was it? That's right, it was when I was 5, right after Dad died. His mother was not much of a workaholic back then. Even after her beloved husband had died from illness, she showed no tears to her son, but a soft smile instead. And once things had calmed down after the funeral, Natsuhiko's mother gently spoke to her son, who had yet to stop crying. Natsuhiko, I'm giving you this watch. Huh? Watch? It was your father's watch. I gave this watch to him when we were young, and he wore it every day until his last. It was a memento of his father. The mother changed the strap and fastened it to her son's wrist. I also have a letter your father wrote for you. And with that she handed Natsuhiko a letter. The letter was written in simple hiragana, so that Natsuhiko could read it at his age. Dearest Natsuhiko, I'm sorry for leaving you behind and dying while you're still so young. But I'm sure you're sad. I'm so sorry. But you mustn't cry forever. I'm sure your mum will be sad if you cry. Your mum might look strong, but there are many delicate things about her. There are many more delicate things about her than you would expect. So please support her. You're a strong boy. You've inherited my sense of justice, and you have a heart that won't lose to pain or sadness. And I'm proud of you for that. No matter how painful it gets, don't you cry. Protect those weaker than you. The more you protect people, the tougher things will get. You'll get hurt a lot too. But I'll be up here in heaven, watching over you in return. So be strong. I love you, my son. Your father, Shun. The handwriting was terribly rough. Perhaps because it was written when his father was in his sickbed. Seeing the dishevelled letters made him want to cry again. But Natsuhiko desperately held back his tears. As he held tightly onto the letter with quivering hands, his mother gently embraced him. Your father is always with you. And I am too. I always will be. There were tears in her eyes as she said that. Mum, why are you crying? Even if Dad's gone, I'm here for you. So don't cry. The professor nodded and softly closed her eyes. The first tears he ever saw his mother cry, quietly spilled down to the floor with a faint sound. He'd never seen his mother cry again until yesterday. Shortly after his father's death, his mother began working day and night as if to distract herself from the sadness. She came home less and less. His father told him to protect his mother, but Natsuhiko came to think of that his mother was someone who could live on her own. Eventually, Natsuhiko put the letter away inside his desk and sealed the once precious memory away inside his mind, seldom to be recalled again. But that's why I've always used this watch, isn't it? Natsuhiko always carried the symbol of the bond he'd had with his parents. Natsuhiko could feel the misgivings his heart held against his mother quietly begin to unravel. But obviously, even if he did see her soon, it wasn't as if they could return to a normal parent-child relationship that quickly. But even so, it is kind of still their fault, really. She shouldn't always be at work. Let's go see Mum. Sully and Marshido silently nodded at that notion. Nobody in town was on their side, not the city, nor the police, nor the school. But my mother, my own flesh and blood. That thought was their last hope. As long as she's on our side, there's nobody more reassuring than Mum. True, after all, she's top brass at LABO, and a world-class physicist too. Yes, not even I can win against her. The three kids smiled at each other. That definite glimmer of hope was enough to raise their courage up a notch. But how do we meet up with the professor? They said there was strengthening security, so you don't think it'd be hard to get inside the building? According to the rumors, LABO security guards are ex-JSDF soldiers, equipped with rubber bullet machine guns. That reminds me, Mr. Ukita said that LABO had permission to possess security measures beyond the law, didn't he? And do we infiltrate from a back entrance? Such a large facility has a high probability of having several entrances. Natsuhiko pondered that question for a while. No, let's go in directly from the front. Huh? If the sleeper agent is a security guard, then sneaking in would actually be more risky. There's the danger they could bring us somewhere out of sight and finish us off there. But if we walk in fair and square through the front door, we'll attract a lot of eyes, but it'll make it difficult for the enemy to interfere with us that way. But if the security guards aren't sleeper agents, then wouldn't it only be obvious that they'd apprehend us? No problem. If we get them to take us to Mum, then that'll still fulfill our goal. True. But isn't that still too much of a gamble? Yeah, it's a gamble, but it's probably our safest bet, and the route most aligned with justice. What hero of justice sneaks in through the back door? A lame hero, that's what. Marshido stared in blank amazement at Natsuhiko's broad grin. Natsuhiko, aren't you acting a bit differently from how you usually do? What have you forgotten, Marshido? Well, I guess I can't blame you since it's been a whole 9 years. But this is how I used to be, isn't it? Marshido's face lit up like the sun at those words. That's it, Natsuhiko. Those are the words I've been waiting to hear. Okay, so no problems going through the front then, right guys? That certainly does seem like the most rational idea. Yeah, the three of them smiled at each other, and they gazed at the end of the long road. The summer triangle shone up high in the night sky as if to guide them. As if each of the 3 stars symbolized them. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that happened before, didn't it? Natsuhiko abruptly recalled an event from his past. When he was young, Natsuhiko wanted to be a hero of justice. In an attempt to get even the slightest bit closer to that goal, he ran all around town with complete disregard for danger. But because of his actions, Yuri got hurt. That was when time stopped for me, wasn't it? He'd always thought that it didn't matter to him. If his frail sense of justice hurt others, then he was better off not doing anything. But it's not like that now. I swear I'll protect everyone and everything this time. Natsuhiko walked with that conviction in his heart. Eventually, as the stars faded away to give rise to the light of day, they found their destination just a short distance away. The building was surrounded by a tall fence with a giant gate. The kids climbed over the fence and infiltrated the premises. Looks like we're here. Before their eyes was a gigantic building, LABO, the 6th laboratory of atomic and biological organization. The place where Natsuhiko and Yuri had suffered their permanent emotional scars. Sure is quiet. Seems like the terrorist attack hasn't started yet. Yeah, Natsuhiko answered in a stiff voice. Damn it, I knew this would happen, but just looking at the building made him break out in goosebumps and a cold sweat. His fear from 9 years ago was alive and well. Put up with it. You can overcome this. The moment he thought that, a sharp voice rang out from a short distance away. What are you kids doing here? This is a restricted area. They saw two men who seemed to be security guards rushing up to them from LABO. They were slinging what appeared to be machine guns off their shoulders. Mashido stepped back in fear to see them. And Natsuhiko stepped up as if to cover for Mashido and Sally as he answered the security guards. Please wait. I'm Natsuhiko Tenkawa, the son of senior researcher Miyoko Tenkawa. What? The younger security guard looked dubious as Natsuhiko showed them his student ID and continued. I came here to see my mother on urgent business. Can you call her for me? What kind of business? A life or death family crisis. I haven't been able to contact my mother since yesterday, so I had no choice but to come here directly. Natsuhiko came up with a lie, and as he did so he desperately tried to use empathy. But just then telepathy from Mashido came soaring into his head. Natsuhiko, I can't read their minds. They aren't opening up their hearts to us. Yeah, I can understand why. Regardless if the security guards were sleeper agents or not, it was only expected that they wouldn't open their hearts to some high school kids who suddenly appeared in a restricted area. They stared at the kids. Eventually the younger security guard whispered to the older one, Should I call Dr. Tenkawa? Mm-hmm. Suddenly raindrops started falling from the sky. Before they knew it, the sky became covered in clouds and it started to rain. The security guards looked up at the sky in frustration. Rain, huh? Well, fine. We'll bring you into the entrance. Wait for Dr. Tenkawa there. Okay. The kids secretly clenched their fists in glee at those words. The kids were taken to the entrance. The older security guard spoke up. I'll call the professor. Wait here for a little bit. He disappeared behind an iron door further down the entrance. The younger security guard stayed behind with the kids. You can't take us to it? People from the outside can only come to this entrance area. There are security gates set up all around the facility that prevent you from entering unless you have a corresponding card. The man glanced at the iron door. Beside the door was what appeared to be a card swiping slot. Where is Dr. Tenkawa? Somewhere in the basement floors, I suppose, but security's even tougher on the bottom floors than the ground floors, so it's strictly off limits to ordinary people. Depending on the situation, you could even be shot and apprehended without warning. So, if you understand what's best for you, you'd wait here. If security was that severe, then terrorists probably wouldn't be able to get in. But we can't let our guards down. We don't know how the enemy plans to invade after all. As Natsuhiko considered that possibility, he received telepathy from Mashido. We can't afford to waste time, right? Should we take this opportunity to send telepathy to the professor? Natsuhiko was taken aback, but he nodded at Mashido. Roger. In that case, I'll try sending it. Yeah, I'll try too. Natsuhiko concentrated his mind. He imagined his mother's characteristic brain waveform in his head. It's too far away from Mashido. She had told him herself once before she was a Type 4, just like Salia. Something I need to tell Mum. I never needed this ability any more than I do now, so of course I'll be able to use telepathy. The moment he made that conviction, Natsuhiko's 5 senses suddenly faded. He could feel his message leave his head as it emitted from his brain. Mum, can you hear me? It's me, Natsuhiko. We're in LABO's ground floor entrance. We came here for reasons related to what we told you about yesterday. That is terrorism. There's a possibility that Q is targeting this facility. Q's objective is to destroy this town. That's why they're targeting this facility's nuclear reactor. To make matters worse, there's possibly a sleeper agent in the facility. It could be Mr. Ukita or someone else. No matter how strictly precautions are taken, no matter how high security is, if there's a sleeper agent present, then the terrorist plot could succeed. So please, Mum, take all personnel outside the facility right away, and don't let anyone inside. I know I'm asking the impossible, but there's no other way. Once he'd focused that far, his 5 senses returned. Alright. Natsuhiko was confident he'd successfully invoked telepathy. and right after that he received telepathy from Mashido. Hey Natsuhiko, I sent Dr. Tenkawa telepathy, but I can't sense that it got to her. Huh? How can you tell? The security guard looked at Natsuhiko suspiciously after he'd inadvertently spoken out loud. Tell what? No, it's nothing. As Natsuhiko panicked to smooth things over, Mashido continued with telepathy. Once you get used to it, you can use empathy to confirm successful transmission. But something's odd, there's no response at all. What? Did something happen to Mum? Natsuhiko was hit by an unpleasant premonition as he was looking towards the entrance. You can't use empathy to check if it's been sent, if her effective empathy range is 10 meters. She's not standing right in front of you. Anyway, and then suddenly, memories from 9 years ago came back to his mind. It was July 7th, 2021. The memory of when he and Yuri had sneaked into the facility. At the time, security was lax. They'd stowed away on a transport truck and hid behind a security guard to get into the entrance. All staff seemed to be underground, as there was no human presence in the entrance. So this is LABO, huh? Natsuhiko looked around and beside him, Yuri whispered, Hey Hikiden, we need to be more sneaky. What are you talking about, Yuri? You agreed to do this, didn't you? We said we saved Mum, since she's always been swamped with work. Yeah, I know, but that was the reason Natsuhiko and Yuri had sneaked into LABO. At the time, Dr. Tenkawa was already a core member of the LABO research team and would always work late until the night. In Natsuhiko's eyes, she looked like she was being forced to work. It was a mission of justice to save Mum. So we need to carry ourselves with dignity. But they'll get mad at us if we get caught. You're such a scaredy cat. Come on, let's go. You can hold my hand. Natsuhiko gripped Yuri's hand tight and walked further inside. Mum told me that she works in the basement in Area 5. She said it's a place only top professors can go. So first we need to find a staircase that goes to the basement, huh? It's got to be behind that door. Let's go, Yuri. And back then their path was blockaded by an iron door as well. Huh? It won't open. How do you think we open it? How would they open it? Were they able to go to the basement back then? Why were they able to go to the basement back then? As soon as Natsuhiko pondered that detail, an intense shock suddenly ran through his head, interrupting his thoughts. He heard the security guard's dubious voice coming from far away. Natsuhiko leaned against a wall, unable to stand the intense pain. Natsuhiko? What's wrong? Do you feel bad? My head. He felt as if something were clamping down on his head. It happened when he tried to remember what happened 9 years ago. Why? Why does my head hurt so much? No, I don't care. I need to remember. Something's off here, isn't it? Even if the security system has changed from how it was in the past, the structure of the facility wouldn't change too, would it? Why were we able to go to the basement? Back then, neither Natsuhiko nor Yuri had a security card. And yet, when they messed around with the card slot in an attempt to open the door... That's right. If I'm not mistaken, back then there was an alarm. As he tried to remember, another headache struck. Natsuhiko staggered, unable to bear it. In that moment, he heard a tremendous roar beneath his feet. What? Natsuhiko fell to the ground, as if a rug had been pulled from under him. He heard something shatter by his wrist. But the roaring sound kept coming. Oh, it's his watch. He finally actually broke it. Yeah, Mashi just screamed from beside him. Yeah, they could feel tremors coming through the floor. What was that sound? The security guard muttered in shock. The kids were well aware of what it was. Explosions. Several of them. Natsuhiko, could this be... Natsuhiko gritted his teeth at those words. Yeah, it is. He endured the pain to stand up and wring words out of his lungs. We didn't make it in time. His words were drowned out by the shrill shriek of an alarm. Intense tremors detected in B1 Area 1. Intense tremors detected in B2 Area 3. A fire has broken out in B1 Area 2. Intense tremors detected in B2 Area 2. The automatic disaster prevention system rang out in a flurry of warning broadcasts. A mechanical robotic voice, an unending stream of fragmentary information. But regardless, everyone could tell that an unprecedented crisis was upon this facility. It's the same as 9 years ago. This same alarm. These same warnings rang out back then too. The moment Natsuhiko made that realization, another memory came back. A fire has broken out in B1 Area 2. A fire has broken out in B2 Area 3. A fire has broken out in B1 Area 5. Natsuhiko and Yuri heard those warnings as they stood in front of the iron door. What happened? A fire? Oh no, there's a fire down below. A fire down below? As Natsuhiko yelled, the automatic announcement continued. Security has shifted to evacuation mode. All gates, barring those leading to Area N, have been opened. All personnel, please calmly evacuate to the surface levels. So that's it. Back then it was just a fire alarm, but the situation was similar. Once Natsuhiko made the connection, he heard the same announcement as he did 9 years ago. Security has shifted to evacuation mode. All gates barring those leading to Area N have been opened. All personnel, please calmly evacuate to the surface levels. And at the same time, the iron door opened up further down the entrance. And in the same way, the iron door opened up 9 years ago. A fire down below? But Mum's down there. What do we do, Hikarin? I gotta go save her. Wait right here, Yuri. Natsuhiko yelled that command as he rushed through the other side of the door. I gotta go, or else things will take a turn for the worse. Natsuhiko tried to run off, but the security guard grabbed his arm. Hold on a second, kid. What do you mean for the worse? Officer, this isn't the time for you to mind us. What? This is a terrorist attack. Call the police and the fire department immediately. Terrorist attack? No way. Natsuhiko shook off the confused security guard's arm and dashed off. The terrorists had a sleeper agent cause a commotion in the facility so the gates would open. At this rate, it's just a repeat of what happened 9 years ago. No. Something far worse. Wait, Natsuhiko, where are you going? To the basement. The basement? But the explosions. You two stay here. No matter what happens, don't you dare move from this spot. Saying just that much, Natsuhiko plunged toward the iron door. He searched for a nearby staircase and ran down. As he descended the staircase, he heard the screams of LABO staff members off in the distance. What happened? I don't know. Were those explosions? Explosions in this facility? The basement floors were already engulfed in dreadful chaos. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. Where are the terrorists? Where did they set the bombs? As he looked around with that in mind, he noticed Marshido and Sally right behind him. What are you doing here? Why did you come down here? I should ask you the same thing. Where do you think you're going all by yourself? It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. I know, but as soon as Natsuhiko began to speak, another memory of the past came to him. It was the same back then. Yuri had followed him even though he had told her to wait for them. Yuri, you can't come, there's a fire, you know. I want to save the professor too, okay? I don't want to sit by and wait while you and the professor are in danger, okay? Yuri sounded somehow different from usual. That was the first time he had heard such a powerful voice from her. So the Natsuhiko of 9 years ago, okay, ended up answering that way. Then let's go together. Let's both save Mum. Yeah. Why is everything repeating itself? It doesn't seem like a mere coincidence, but something tinged with fate. What happened after we went down 9 years ago? When he tried to remember, he was struck by another intense headache. Ow! Natsuhiko, do you have a headache again? Are you okay, Natsuhiko? Hang in there. The headache made him nauseous. Each time he tried to invoke his memory, he was struck by this pain. Like a migraine. Man, I hate those ones that make you nauseous. Sucks. I get them too. Damn it. Is my desire to remember really that bad? It should be obvious to me what happened after that, shouldn't it? He got caught in the fire with Yuri and almost died. There's no way I can yield to that fear. The moment that thought crossed his mind, he heard another explosion from nearby. Natsuhiko promptly covered Marshido and Sally. 1 second later, a blazing wind shot by. And the kids were blown away. Heightened recordings confirmed in Area N. Emergency shutdown systems have been initiated. All personnel, including those in the Area N control room, please evacuate to the surface levels immediately. God. Are you two okay? They slowly got up after falling on top of each other. Yeah. I'm okay. The two groaned, but they appeared to be uninjured. Thank goodness. Though relieved, Natsuhiko searched for the origin of the explosion. The explosion sounded like it came from the direction of the staircase they just descended. No way. Natsuhiko gasped and dashed for the staircase. But... damn it! What was waiting for them was the collapsed ruins of a staircase. They destroyed the staircase? But there wasn't anyone here, so how? Damn it, this is all they're doing. It was the very same trick they used at the PRC. The sleeper agent carried in a time bomb and set it in the facility. And probably not just one bomb, but several. They've destroyed the exit. We're trapped in the basement. How could the situation have gotten this bad? What do we do, Natsuhiko? Natsuhiko gritted his teeth and looked at his watch. He wanted to know just how much time they had left. But his watch had broken before he'd realized it. Apparently it had slammed into the floor when the first explosion knocked him over. The watch's date had stopped at 9:16, its hands at 6:19. A time he'd likely never forget for the rest of his life. If only we'd gotten here just a little bit sooner. But even if they were late, there was still a meaning in their arrival. Natsuhiko tried to walk off unsteadily, but Mashiro grabbed his hand. Hold it, Natsuhiko. Where do you think you're going in a crisis like this? I'm gonna find those bastards. Wait, Natsuhiko, you don't mean I'm gonna put an end to their plan? I can still do something. No, you can't, Natsuhiko. Calm down. Why, you agreed we should come here, didn't you, Mashiro? The situation's completely changed. It's too late now. It's never too late, and I'm sure I can still make it. Besides, even if we do run, it's not going to change anything. So in that case, the moment those words left his lips, a sharp pain ran through his cheek. Mashiro had slapped him. Do you want to suffer another loss that badly? His words gouged out Natsuhiko's heart. And then another roar rang out. Another explosion. Where? Please, Natsuhiko, let's get out of here already. Mashiro's pleading voice caused Natsuhiko's heart to waver. The current situation was progressing as if it were following the incident 9 years ago to a T. Natsuhiko didn't want to repeat the same mistake he made that time. He didn't want any of the people precious to him to suffer again. Holding those convictions in his heart, he forced himself to speak. Okay, let's look for a way out of here first. Mashiro and Sully's faces relaxed in relief at those words. I'll lead the way. Sully, you take the rear. Let's work under the assumption that we'll come across the terrorists. Roger. Okay. The three of them ran off with intense looks in their faces. As they ran, Natsuhiko glanced at his broken watch. At the only present he had ever received from his mother. There's something I need to do before I escape. His mother was likely still inside the facility. We were too late to stop the terrorist attack, but at the very least I want to ensure an escape route for Mashiro, Salyu, and his mother. That was Natsuhiko's earnest wish. Let's look for another staircase. There has to be a safe one somewhere. Do you know the layout of the facility? No, I obviously can't remember all the details. And we should look into it first. It's dangerous to run blindly without an escape plan. And with that, Salyu dashed into a nearby room. It was a laboratory, devoid of any people. Salyu looked for a computer that was left on and connected Alice to it. Salyu, what are you doing? I'm looking up a map of the facility, though I'm not sure if there is one. Alice, start command. Search all network files. Search with high priority on terms synonymous with map and chart, and with a lower priority on facility, labo, and lab. Check for password protected files in folders and access them. Download all relevant files in command. Q. Alice's back opened, exposing her screen. The screen displayed a list of all the files she downloaded. Sully skimmed through them with her fingertip. Please be there. Right after Mashiro prayed for her to find the map, Sully's eyes widened. This is it. Probably. The kids peeked at the screen to see a hexagonal map. Yeah, that's it, no doubt. Just like the ground levels, the basement floors are also hexagonal, apparently divided into 6 areas. Sully pointed at the top of the map. Judging by the placement of the entrance, we're currently here in Area 1's outer ring, B1. I think that's that last broken staircase we saw was in the outer ring emergency staircase. Looks like there's an inner ring emergency staircase nearby too, huh? Just as Mashiro had said, each area apparently had an emergency staircase and an elevator. Let's head there first. The kids nodded at each other and ran out of the room. They crossed through the connecting passageway and headed for the inner ring. En route to the passageway, there was what appeared to be one of those security gates that the security guard had mentioned, but it was left wide open. Once they reached the inner ring, it was engulfed in fire. Fire? How did fire break out here so fast? Is it because of the explosions? No, it'd be way too fast for that to have been the cause. They might have brought incendiary bombs as well, and set one here. Don't tell me it was set here to prevent the people from escaping the facility. Yeah, it's too dangerous here. Let's look for another path. Natsuhiko grabbed the girl's hands and retreated into the passageway. Their escape routes were quickly crumbling down one by one. Mashiro, Salya. There was an elevator on the map too. Go see if it's still usable. What about you, Natsuhiko? I'll check if the path to Area 2 is safe. Roger, be careful. Natsuhiko split up from the girls for the time being. First we need to ensure an escape route. If there's a safe emergency staircase, I can get them out through there. With that thought in mind, Natsuhiko walked into the connecting passageway to Area 2. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today, but it looks like time is now converging and it's all going to be set in here and trying to escape. And hopefully we can come to some kind of better ending here. And we did in Route A, because Route A's ending wasn't good. Everybody died pretty much. Well, Mashiro disappeared, Salu died, Natsuhiko got severely wounded, but I don't think he died. Yeah, lots of people died, and I don't want that to happen again. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.